What if everything we know about life is only part of the story? Some discoveries change science. Others change the way we see ourselves. At first, this looked like just another neuroscience project, a carefully planned experiment, experienced researchers, modern equipment, clear scientific goals. Nothing seemed unusual. Professor Emery T. Salvis had spent his entire career searching for answers. Brilliant, respected, tireless. His dream was to understand the human brain, no matter how difficult the journey became. Every member of the team had a different reason for being there. Curiosity, duty, compassion, ambition. None of them imagined that they were about to witness something no scientific journal had ever described. Ben loved science, but he loved living creatures even more. He believed the two should never become enemies. The operation was successful. Brain activity remained stable. Every instrument reported exactly what the researchers expected. Nearby, another Labrador waited quietly. Her name was Sul. Her destiny was already connected with Alka's. Neither of them knew it yet. Then, something unexpected quietly entered the room. It all started with that Ben was bored. Night shift in the lab. Bored and felt awfully bad for the dogs. A secret stash of licorice candy was supposed to make him feel better. The complete story continues in the Sydney experiment Restoring Paradise. Scenes from the novel. Inspired by the novel, The Sydney Experiment Restoring Paradise. Chapter 6. The next 2 days were quiet and uneventful. The professor called to say he was sick due to a minor accident, and on Thursday, Ben arrived early. As soon as he opened the DOS window, a message appeared on the screen from Alka. Ben typed, "Who are you? I don't know any Alka." "I am the dog. Your prof called V1. Tia, it is very funny, but stop kidding. Do you see me wagging my tail right now?" Ben almost fell from the chair as looking at V1, who started to wag his tail immensely. "But how do you do it?" "Ben, I am not sure yet what the LIQ did to us, but we became intelligent. Both Sul, also known as V2, and myself. It was a piece of cake to connect to your closed circuit system. Which makes me think of our further LIQ supply. Can you make sure we get one piece every day so we can continue to work on the connections?" "What did you mean by working with the connections?" "We are connecting to the field." "You guys are connecting to what?" Ben typed in response. "To everything, Ben," Alka replied. This was the first time a dog had called Ben by name. "I've heard about this Akashic field, but I thought it was just another New Age fad like chakra colors," Ben wrote. 2. Chapter 7. The next day, Tia was with the dogs. She couldn't wait to read the first file. File 1. Suffering has an energy pattern. This energy pattern contaminates the energy field of Earth. Today's world has a lot of suffering. Whatever you humans do to lessen suffering, it won't be enough. Most suffering originates from killing. Killing for food is unavoidable because most creatures need animal protein to survive. In paradise, there was no killing and no death. Therefore, there was no suffering. Creatures all had manna, whatever it was, as their food. All creatures fed and survived on manna. It is important to note here, we usually take paradise as a location, but it may have been a time period instead, extending to the whole earth. It may have lasted thousands or millions of years, possibly extending from the beginning of life on Earth. So we have a long period of good times and a much shorter 6,000 years of screwed up world. It makes a difference, doesn't it? "Have you seen my sandwich? I left it in the fridge," Lucas asked as he rushed in. "No." Tia shivered a bit and replied absent-mindedly. It took another second for her to realize she was in trouble. "TIA, have you lost your mind? What are you doing in DOS?" Lucas yelled. It is a big no-no according to company regulations. and there is a good reason for that. You won't believe it, Lucas, but the DOS window opened on its own while I was doing something else. Tia snapped back. Yeah, right. I don't believe you, Tia. Are you trying to hack the system? He approached, grabbing the mouse, but Tia was quicker and closed the window with a keyboard shortcut before he could reach it. Lucas, the truth is, you're right. Something has changed. Something happened, and I think you need to know. But not here and not now. She paused, studying Lucas's expression. Ben invited me to a movie night this Saturday at 6 p.m. at his place. Do you want to join? Lucas sat down, drumming his fingers nervously on the desk. I hope this isn't about the Pakalolo, he thought. I only did it once during the night shift right after I broke up with Susan. I don't think anyone could smell it except the dogs, of course. Obviously. Finally, he said, Sure, I'd be happy to meet you two outside the lab. Should I bring something? Tia smiled. Just yourself and an open mind. An open mind? Lucas was more than surprised by the invitation itself, and now this? He tried to hide his amazement and continued, All right, I'll bring some wine then. By the way, since we're already being honest, I ate your sandwich, Tia said with a mischievous smile. I swear it was already dry, almost inedible, but I'll make it up to you on Saturday. Lucas rolled his eyes. It doesn't matter anymore. See you Saturday. Saturday arrived with a tropical storm. Lucas left with a sense of urgency, his mind racing with possibilities. Lucas spent the next few days collecting all the material he could find, religious texts, ancient histories, legends, and even old songs. These sources often spoke of a shared knowledge, a common understanding that seemed to transcend cultures and epochs. What if this shared knowledge could be explained by some sort of universal field, a force that connected all of humanity across the globe? As a scientist, Lucas knew that the Earth itself was a rotating magnet, generating an electromagnetic field that enveloped the entire planet. The idea wasn't new, but what if this field played a far more significant role than anyone had ever imagined? Slowly, a new theory began to take shape in his mind, a theory with implications that were difficult to overestimate. He started with a simple observation. All over the world, diver. A flood that seemed to be universally acknowledged, despite the lack of communication between these civilizations. This suggested that the deluge was not just a myth, but a real event that had impacted the entire planet. Next, Lucas examined the period before the deluge. According to the Bible, at some point, humanity became wicked, morally and emotionally corrupt. This decline was followed by the Great Deluge, which annihilated almost all life on Earth. After the flood, the Bible recounts that humans, left without food, were temporarily allowed by the Lord to eat the meat of certain animals until the land could yield grain and fruits again. But over time, this temporary measure became the norm, and humanity did not stop, but continued to butcher and eat animals. Predatory behavior became the new normal, not just among humans, but among animals as well. This led Lucas to a provocative idea. What if emotions, which some theories propose are forms of energy, could be influenced by electromagnetic vibrations or frequencies? And what if the changes in human behavior, the moral decline, and even the onset of predatory instincts in animals were all the result of distortions in the Earth's electromagnetic field, caused by some external force? The more he thought about it, the more the pieces seemed to fit together. Could it be that the very nature of life on Earth had been altered by a disruption in this field? And if so, what could be done to restore it? 65. Chapter 9. Thomas Wiley was a young man with a Navy baseball hat and eyeglasses. He was 6 feet tall and about 200 pounds. He liked this job in the mornings when he was in charge of V1 and V2. He wanted to be a vet, and the occasional walks paved his way to be a student at this university one day. They too had animals at home, and just as his father, he was of the opinion that it is a mistake to humanize animal behavior. They had no emotions or morals. They needed good care, but also needed to show sometimes who was boss to ensure their obedience. He let the 2 dogs sniff around for a few minutes, then waited till they were doing their thing and picked the scat up. When he was about to tie a knot to close the bag, a lot of things happened suddenly at the same time. A large golden-green dung bug approached his eyeglasses with a horrible buzz. He always hated these bugs, and the buzz induced some deep-rooted fear in his veins. Tom waved his left hand frantically, while the unclosed bag occupied his right hand, leaving the two leashes loose. The two dogs applied two simultaneous intense jerks on the leashes, and they both took off with an unimaginable speed. Somehow in that moment, Tom felt that tying the knot on the poop bag was the most urgent thing to do. He wanted to call V1 and V2 back by name, but realized they have never been trained to listen to them. In fact, the job description did not allow any emotional bonding between the caregiving personnel and the test animals, as it would make observing their behavior changes questionable. So he just started to run after them, although he knew that sprinting was not his forte. They disappeared before he could reach the corner. Maybe they went to the park nearby. He turned back to report the event and get someone with a vehicle to search for them. Alka was almost stuck on the rolling door. The darn leash caught something there, but with some help from Sul, she got in safely. They both lay on the floor away from the open door, knowing that the van would start off immediately. They remained like that in the next hour, but Lucas reached them with thought-talking, making sure everything went as planned. Soon the car turned right and crossed an iron gate. Laura stopped the van, closed the gate, climbed on the back to check on the dogs. A journey like that must have been quite unnerving for them after living in the cage since early puppyhood, she thought. She gave them their daily lick while caressing both animals gently and with reassuring words in her deep, slightly rusty voice. They answered her with tail wagging and gentle words of gratitude by thought-talking, calling her Lara Mama. After a few tries, Lara too got the hang of thought-speaking and replied to them back the same way. The next day, Tia and Ben were attending the monthly company dinner. They announced their engagement, adding that the wedding was just 2 weeks away. To support the reason for urgency, she wore a towel around her waist under her clothing. They requested a special leave for the honeymoon they planned to spend on the island of Tonga. Chapter 10. Lucas gets himself fired. Lucas took some of his best-smelling Pakalolo reserves to work and smoked some before the start of the workday. By the time Professor Salvis arrived fresh from sick leave, accompanied by 2 representatives from the headquarters to investigate the disappearance of dogs, a thick layer of weed smoke was sitting in the hallway. It was impossible to ignore, especially as it was coming straight from the lab, where they had to go to. The investigation was conducted in a good mood. Professor Salvis dropped his glasses upon entering. Lucas kindly picked them up, but for some reason he dropped them again, causing everyone to laugh irresistibly for minutes. Lucas then read aloud Thomas Winley's written report. The mention of the dung beetle and the open poop bag caused a long wave of laughter again. Eventually, a protocol was drawn up on the basis of the report, stating that the incident was caused by an unfortunate accident, and a search for the animals was in order with the help of a specialized team of the City of Sydney Animal Rescuers. When the investigators left, Salvis called Lucas to his desk. I'm sure you're aware that corporate policy prohibits the use of all mood-altering drugs during working hours. Will you wait for the disciplinary action to take place, or would you prefer to file your resignation now? He said grimly. I'm sorry, Professor. I know I shouldn't do it, but the disappearance of the animals really upset me. I'm not saying it as an excuse, because I know there's no excuse. I'm filing my resignation by noon today.